Since Jurassic World Rebirth has been released on digital and the first Jurassic World is now a decade old, I want to talk about this one aspect about the World era films that people just don't understand, and that's the treatment of velociraptors. I've made statements about this in the past, but after a certain scene in the newest movie, I want to dive into detail. So let's start from the beginning. The velociraptors made their first appearance in Jurassic Park in 1993 as debatably the main antagonist of the film. The raptors were portrayed as cunning and intelligent hunters that were a constant threat for the heroes. The film did an amazing job of building them up throughout the film, with there being constant reminders and references to how dangerous they are without ever even showing them until the climax of the film, and it all pays off. Since then, we've seen raptors appear in all 7 films and other media in the franchise. The raptors return in The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 with a similar role as the first film, albeit not to the same presence. However, they still gave us some really great sequences. Now let's move on to the Jurassic World era, where the epicenter of the Velociraptor controversy is. So, we have a squad of Velociraptors consisting of Echo, Charlie, Delta, and Blue, who are trained by Owen Grady and are able to follow his commands. Now, the whole criticism behind this idea is that it's not the same as the original trilogy. The Raptors are nice now. They're not dangerous and aren't killing people. Despite that these happen. And even ignoring everything you just saw, the Raptor squad behaved the way they did because, as stated by Owen, he raised them from birth and even imprinted on them.
Your raptors are born in captivity.
With siblings. They learn social skills. And I imprint on them when they're born. There's trust.
Why would they ever attack him? And even despite that, Owen is still cautious around them and acknowledges that they are still dangerous to others.
Are they safe?
No, they're not.
They won't hurt us, right?
Oh, you damn right she will.
He never acts like he's above the raptors and treats them with respect. Still don't buy it? There are people in the real world who have managed to train animals far bigger and more dangerous than a Jurassic Park velociraptor. I mean, just look at this dude with his pet polar bear. Polar bears are so dangerous in the wild that you're supposed to just give up if one's attacking you. And looking back at the JP trilogy, those raptors weren't attacking the characters for nothing. For the first movie, just look at the enclosure the raptors are in. It's tiny, no enrichments, and it's full of trees. The poor raptors can't even run or see 3 feet in front of them. For the Lost World, it's as simple as the hunters were trespassing on the raptors' territory, and for Jurassic Park 3, well, Billy stole their eggs. But at the end of the film, they give the eggs back to the raptors, and they just let them leave because the raptors no longer have a reason to attack the humans. And I'd like you to think about the implications of velociraptors being trainable. If velociraptors are intelligent enough to be trained by a human, just imagine what would happen if a villain was able to train velociraptors. Remember how uncoordinated the raptors in the Lost World were? Because they're just wild animals? Now think about it if those were raptors directly trained to hunt and kill human targets. That would make for very tense and thrilling action scenes. Now that I think about it, that would actually be a really good idea for a villain in a Jurassic Park movie. Enough with the greedy businessmen! Granted, we kinda got something like that in Dominion with the Atrociraptors, but they don't get much spotlight. All in all, the Velociraptors in the Jurassic World trilogy give us a new insight on the species, and if anything, make them better now knowing how smart they can really be. Well, now I gotta talk about the Rebirth fiasco. For the film itself, I thought it was a really good film that takes big risks and moves the franchise in a new direction. And one of those big risks, like it or not, was sidelining the Velociraptors for the new Mutodon. In Rebirth, the Raptors only had one scene, where they try to ambush Xavier draining his lizard, only for a Mutodon to come out of nowhere and kill the Raptor. And that's all the Raptors do in this film. People were mad over this because how dare they sideline an iconic dinosaur in the franchise? Well, the Raptors had prominent roles in all 6 films before this, so I think we can go one movie where they get sidelined. However, it would have been nice to have another scene with them. I think a scene where the characters would have to sneak past some raptors in the long grass to get to the Titanosaurus would have been a really cool scene. And on the topic of the Mutodons, the real problem with them is not that they're mutant hybrids, it's that they're not the only mutants and sort of dilute the significance of the Distortus Rex, making it feel less special. Imagine if there was another hybrid dinosaur in Jurassic World. That would have made the Indominus Rex feel less important, because it's not the only one. I think it would have been better if we got a Utah raptor in the place of the Mutodon. But even with everything I've said about velociraptors, if you still just want to see them be dangerous animals, well, you have 3 films for that. I hope that this video has maybe changed your mind on the velociraptors in Jurassic World, or at the very least, has given you a new insight on the velociraptors in the franchise.